Hey, it's Matt, your average gamer, and this is day 26 of a build a day until they announce DLC. That's right, we've done 26 build videos in a row at this point, which is crazy, and for this one, we'll be concentrating on the Stormhawk Axes. There's two different locations to pick these up in the game. I believe you can get them somewhere in the capital in the old fortified manor, and then there's another location, I think Castle Sol, and you can also receive two of these by progressing Nefeli's questline, or if you don't progress her questline, later in your journey, you may find them right there at the round table hold, very easy to pick up once it's Ashen Capital. And we'll be focused on mainly the buff, but also we're going to focus on the Ash of War, which is Thunderstorm, which does a bit of posture damage, it does lightning damage, and obviously it buffs the weapons as well. And you can actually buff both of them at the same time by switching hands, we'll talk about that later, and increase your damage by 120 lightning damage on each one. But it doesn't have the huge hitbox you'd expect. Even though it is fantastic for larger bosses, we're going to talk about the hit window, which is a little bit wonky as we go on here. For this though, I'm going to show you where to get the champion armor set, which you can get in Caelid from this merchant. And given that this is Nefeli's set, obviously this is probably the coolest to use because she wields two Stormhawk Axes in battle. I think she only ends up buffing one of them. I'm not sure NPCs can switch hands, but yeah, you can actually buff them both. But if you've used her, you can summon her for Godric, and you'll notice she has that, along with the champion armor set. Along with buffing the weapons, the other advantage here that we have is it does 31 posture damage, I believe per windup, so it actually does a decent bit of posture damage, and in a world where posture damage is certainly less now, it's pretty cool being able to posture break with the Ash of War while doing lightning damage and also buffing your weapon to boot. Now, I want to show this. On larger targets, it's not as much of a problem, though you'll see it a little bit on the dragons. But when I was talking about the hitbox before, it has a very small hitbox in front of it. The circle around you is actually a very short distance circle, and that is a little bit unfortunate. I found myself in certain situations where I thought it would connect, and for some reason it wasn't connecting. And the reason is, it just doesn't have a lot of range. Even with that said, though, it can destroy mobs, it can hit bosses hard, and once again, you're buffing the weapon with additional lightning damage. So there is benefits to using this weapon, and it is great for mob control in general. It destroys mobs very easily. It's actually used a little bit in PvP, I believe, as well, because it can stun NPC type invaders and other players. And again, it has a small window for the hitbox, but it does good damage. It stuns mobs as well, as you can see consistently here, and obviously with bosses, it builds up posture damage on them, which is kind of a big deal. Again, the 31 posture damage on each windup is actually reasonably good. So for mobs here, we're going to test this on the troll to see how much damage it does. Just kind of continue to show off the weapon. Don't worry, we're going to go through stats, equipment, everything you'll need to know in short order. But before that, if you're not subbed, definitely sub to this channel if you love overpowered PvE builds or just Elden Ring builds in general. We've been doing a ton of overpowered builds and even some stuff like this that's not as ridiculously overpowered, but a lot of fun too. Be sure to subscribe. You're going to be part of a great community. By the way, I'm leaving the Discord link to this as well. Feel free to join that too. That's also been growing. It's been a ton of fun so far. And here's that example with an NPC invader type enemy that you're going to see here, as I believe her name is Anastasia, that spawns here, and then you're going to see she basically gets stun locked by it. It does a pretty good amount of damage as well, and she goes down very quickly. That's kind of a common theme if you face NPC invaders with this weapon, because it can stun and the lightning damage is pretty good on it, so it gets rid of them very quickly. So we're going to test this on a tougher dragon, the Rot Dragon. Now he does take increased damage to pretty much every type or every element, but the thing is he has more HP, and we're on journey I think 4 or 5 at this point on this particular character, so he's got a fairly good amount of HP to make up for that, and obviously he can rot you very easily too, so let's take on a challenging foe and see how these weapons hold up. And for the weapon itself, now it scales with a D in dexterity and a C in strength. I have them both at +9, but even at +10, I believe it's the same scaling. It just didn't have the Somber Stones for it as far as the Ancient Dragon ones. But D in dex, C in strength. You're going to get more, though, from the lightning damage from the dexterity part and the physical portion strength, so it's very much a quality weapon. So for those of you that like quality weapons, this falls right into that category, and obviously this is something that you can change up if you want to use something like Bloodhound's Fang or whatnot, or change your build without respeccing stats. Pretty much do any other quality build with the same setup here, because we ended up going for 50 strength and 50 dexterity to maximize our damage while also getting a good amount of damage from the Ash of War and the lightning damage. the wind-up time, and basically making the best that we can of a powerful Ash of War in Thunderstorm. And I say powerful, it's not overpowered by any means, but it is powerful in the sense that it does do a fairly decent amount of damage. Obviously, you get the 120 lightning boost on the weapon itself, and then that 31 posture damage on apparently what seems to be each wind-up is fairly good. I actually posture broke a few different bosses. I think the Magma Worm, I'm going to show you another one here in a second that we do in Dragon, and it really does work well for that. It is a good method of posture breaking, but again, it's slow, it's a little difficult to use, but when used right and timed right, it can be very powerful. If you asked me to rank this, I would say it's really fun to use these, but I'd probably give it like a B on a scale with the D being the worst and S being the best. It's pretty mid-tier, but you can make the most of it with a good build and setup, which is something that we did. We're going to show that here in a second after we show posture breaking this dragon before it dies. Just part of the fight here because we've shown enough fights with dragons, but you get the gist. The posture breaking part of it is a big benefit. The lightning damage, the Ash of War itself, and while it is a little bit costly in the sense that obviously you're continuing to wind up, chew through FP and stamina, you do damage to make up for that, and obviously with the posture break you saw there as well, it works fairly well together. It's a fairly good weapon. So for this awesome setup, we have 2 Stormhawk Axes +9, preferably +10. We have the Champion set on, which we showed you where to get, Shard of Alexander, Ritual Swords Talisman. We have the Lightning Scorpion Charm for the lightning boost. We have Dragoncrest Greatshield Talisman. And then we have the Lightning tier. And then we threw in the Faith tier for buffs as well. So that can give you 10 levels of Faith so you can cast Golden Vow and Blessings Boon if you need to. For stats, this one's easy because I did it on a 150 character. You're just going to go for 50 strength, 50 dexterity, and 50 vigor, and you're going to get a lot out of this weapon because you're going to be boosting the physical portion fairly well. The lightning damage off the dex scaling, kind of got that quality build. Decent AR with the lightning, I believe it's over 700, pretty powerful there. So a nice well-rounded build here, which is it's something that I really liked. I liked how the stats came out. I like the damage the weapon it does, and it is something that you can switch to another quality build very easily if you're trying to do something like use Bloodhound's Fang. There's a lot of other quality weapons out there that you can switch to with pretty much identical stats. Now for buffs, we drink the Lightning tier, and then we're doing the longer buffs like Golden Vow and Blessings Boon. Then we use Flame Grant Me Strength last, and then I'm on Xbox, so I'm going to hit Y and LB for the left-hand one, and then Y and RB back, and that way you can proc both, which gives you 120 additional lightning damage on each one for 40 seconds. And that is day 26 of a build a day until they announce DLC, or at least till the anniversary. We're going to see how far we can go with this. I can't believe we've done 26 build videos in a row. It's pretty crazy at this point. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. This was another fun one for me. I really like the Stormhawk Axes. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope this was a fun one. I hope this helps you build something if you really like the whole Nepheli Stormhawk Axes thing, because it's a lot of fun to use these, and the fact that I have an Ash of War that's called Thunderstorm, pretty cool as well in that aspect. It's definitely cool to use too. Definitely be sure to sub if you're not subbed, because there's a ton of awesome builds on my channel. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will catch you guys there.